Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, and I'm joined by Ileana. So we're going to talk about this secret space program again, and we've had some great discussions already. And Ileana, you want to talk a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Sure. So I am a psychic and an intuitive, as well as an energy healer. So I've done a lot of work with past life regression as well, and hypnosis to find out about my own SSP memories. That's how I was able to get that information for myself from self-hypnosis, and basically to find out that I had been serving in planetary corporations on the various Mars bases and cybernetics labs with a 60 and back secret space program service.
So 60 and back, that's normally people do 20 and back. How was it that you got hooked up with 60?
Yeah, so basically they looked at my profile in terms of what can I do for them, what kind of work. And because of my psychic abilities and intuitive abilities to read people, situations, and to also see future events. So it was decided that I would do the 60 and back on Mars, Antarctica, and also some of the space stations platforms that they have in Mars orbit, and also to serve on the moon. So I did about 12 different jobs for planetary corporations throughout those 60 years. And the way that the 60 years is set up, it's done through the quantum leap, time travel. So basically you have your reality, you have the Earth reality, and you're taken from that and you're transported to Mars through the jump room gateways, or you're picked up by the TR3B, TR6. You're teleported from your home. Everybody's asleep, so nobody's aware that you're taken. It happens at night, and basically nobody remembers anything, and you're gone. And they give you the uniforms, and my uniforms looked like a jumpsuit, but it was a smart suit. Basically, you were the daily wear smart suit that you can wear 7 days a week if you want. It adheres to your body. It has the nanotech in it. So it cleans your bio waste. It filters toxins out of your body. And it also keeps you healthy and monitors your vitals. So that's the first thing that I was given when I was transported to Mars. My civilian clothes were taken away, and I was given the light blue smart suit and told, this is what you'll wear for now.
So when you're transported out, are you gone the entire 60 years, or are you in and out of your body? How does that actually work?
Yeah, I felt like I was in and out at some points. So I knew that Earth was here. I actually got to live my life. For the most part, though, I remember the whole 60 and back mostly being there, and sometimes on Earth. So like they can build a portal bridge between Earth through the time traveling. So it seems like it's all so seamless, and there's no issues with time travel at all.
That's amazing. It's kind of some of my memories as well. You've done some very good introspection on this, and you've discovered quite a few things through your own work and stuff like that. Who else that has been involved in this, and you both have memories? Is there anyone like that out there that you've connected with?
Yeah, I've connected with a lot of people. James Rank, Tony Rodriguez, Jason Rice, Penny Bradley, you, of course. So, and other people that I've actually done hypnosis on, Matt Tracy, and a lot of other people, just basically who have had experiences in the SSP, who've been clients of mine, who have done hypnosis to retrieve their memories. So it's really a lot of different people, but I can only talk about the people who've come forward. It's a long list. So it's that's
impressive.
Yeah, and of course, it all started with a gentleman whose name I shall not mention, who came forward with this stuff. And he kind of opened up the process of coming forward and disclosing, yet he was part of the program to stop disclosure as well, to be a gatekeeper. That's his programming, what the SSP gave him. So it's been quite a journey of 7 years disclosing.
That's incredible. Mine has been probably closer to 5 years where I really started waking up to it, but over a 7-year period, people coming up to me and telling me, hey, you've been involved in this. And I was like, then eventually I sort of had the memories come through. So it's great to, be involved with, people that have very good recall, almost total recall, kind of like that one movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's what a lot of people are starting to experience. Now, why do you think they're allowing us to have this total recall and talk about it?
Well, it's almost like a 40-year plan, really, that we're going to start disclosing. Then the Navy will disclose that UFOs are real. Then the biological drug serums will come out. Then the medbed technology will eventually come out. So nanotechnology, Neuralink implants will come out. So this has been staged and planned. Planetary Corp has been planning this all along for Earth as well. What they have on Mars, they hope to develop as another carbon template here on Earth. And we're the first ones to put it out into the public's, like to seed the public with information about these programs, what we went through. I mean, it's quite popular on YouTube right now. It's not being censored, it's being promoted as popular. Secret Space Program is one on the top list that's found on videos. They're not censored. So if Google is not censoring it, YouTube is not censoring it, there's a reason, because they want this out here in the public domain. And I think we're the ones that are being used to promote this, the SSP.
They're allowing us to seed it, like you're talking about, seed it into the consciousness, and that's what I got as well. And as my memories come through, I'm pretty excited about sharing them. But I know that there's a certain level, because I've pushed up against it, unfortunately, where they don't want certain things to be revealed. What exactly do you feel is they're allowing to be disclosed, and what are they keeping us from disclosing?
So the nanotechnology, I was allowed to disclose that. I was allowed to talk about the med beds, even though I was told by the other cybernetics technicians that that's 300-year technology that you're not going to see anytime soon on Earth. First, it would be the Neuralink implants and the other nanotech plus biological drug serum. So that's the first in the rollout for Earth. Mm-hmm. So that's quite a lot of things I've been disclosing and that I'm allowed to. Basically, what they're not allowing to disclose is the various base locations. Mm-hmm. If you talk about the military projects, then they take you, they could punish you, they could kill you, they can remove you. So it seems military secrets aren't allowed to be disclosed, the top projects. Even I have a line where I cannot cross, and I cannot disclose everything and anything that I know. Only certain things, the basics, what would come out in disclosure anyways. But for now, these programs, some of these groups don't want to be out. Like Planetary Corp does not want disclosure of its operations and what it does on Mars and how many bases it has. Mm-hmm. But I've been quite lucky that I can disclose it, and I haven't been killed. I haven't been punished. I had been harassed quite a bit in 2016-17 by that individual who has that programming to stop other SSP assets from coming forward and talking. So some people are really programmed to be gatekeepers and to start harassing other people if they come forward. Mm-hmm. So some individuals, you could say, are the Manchurian candidates.
Right.
So because they have that programming. I think to a degree, we all have some programming and some of us have alters, some don't. So it's really about the experiences we've had, to what degree we served in these programs, that truly makes us what we are today, even still.
Yeah. So I think I was a target of that when I accidentally disclosed like military stuff as well. And when I inadvertently disclosed it, because someone else had said, you know, they remembered certain things, and then I backed that up with some insights that I had, and then kind of, I would say got leaned on. I got almost removed, almost killed. And so that was kind of a hard lesson for me, and it was part of my awakening process. Yeah, I'm obviously involved in this, and then things started happening, and started seeing little grays, and information started to download on me to as far as like some of these programs. So I'm a little wary sometimes. I can feel like when we did a show together, you're asking me up the Mars program. I can feel those blocks within me when I'm trying to like, you know, have memories. I can feel the blocks. So that you're able to disclose them is great. So before we go into some of that, all the different bases, it's absolutely fascinating, all the stuff that you have recall on, and that you're able to share, and what you're revealing is magnificent. Elon Musk talks about the Neuralink. So you've been given disclosure on Neuralink. So in my memories of Neuralink, I don't see it as a negative. Now, a lot of people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, you're going to put something in my brain and it's going to like start to take over. I don't see that. I see it as a benefit. How do you see the Neuralink information?
Well, Elon Musk calls it Neuralink. On Mars in the Planetary Corp, it's Neuralink, because it's a whole neuronal web interface of, I had 4 implants that were in my brain. It's nano Neuralink implants. So basically, they were not connected to any form of AI, external AI or internal AI. They were energy core implants that were dermally infused through my skin, went up my bloodstream, went up through the blood-brain barrier, went left side of my brain, opened up the energy cores. So they're almost like etheric implants, nano-etheric. They can't be picked up by MRI scans or CT or brain SPECT or nothing like that. They enhance brain memory. They enhance your psychic abilities. They're allowing you to pilot ships remotely through synthetic telepathy. They allow you to communicate with other SSP assets who have these implants. If you ever get brain damage, these implants fix it. And they had nanoparticles, nano gold particles in the gold fiber threads that connected to my neurons and axons. So it's quite complicated technology that's 300 years advanced, more so than what Elon Musk is working with Neuralink right now. It's not the same comparable even in the technology. It allows you, these Neuralink implants also allow you to biologically be able to control your body. Say if the lights are too bright, you can just give the command to the implants to lower the lights in your eyes, to lower the dimness and make it less brighter if something's bothering you in your environment. Say if something's too loud, again, you can give the Neuralink implants a command to lower the sound vibration in your ears to make the sound less and make it less noisy, or turn sound off. Like if you want to sleep, you can turn off your hearing completely and turn it back on. You can modulate your breathing, your heart rate. If your hormones are imbalanced, then the implant will just organically, biologically rebalance your hormones. So it's like it monitors everything health-wise, and it also does record everything that you do, what you feel, what you see, has audio video recording capabilities, and it can send everything that you experience and remember, your memories. It can send that telemetry to off-world databases, holographic interfaces. It's like the cloud. And you can also use those implants to basically interface with the holographic technologies And what we call the internet here, they have a different form of it on Mars and other planets. So you don't have to have any external devices to do that anymore. The implant does it all in your brain for you.
Interesting. So that's fascinating, because some of the stuff that I've been connecting with as far as like flying ships and neurally, I now understand how I'm doing it, because those neuro implants, that's correct, neuro, not neural. Is that correct?
Well, it has the neuronal interface, web interface in your brain if you have multiple implants, but they're basically called Neuralink implants.
Okay. So those Neuralink implants basically are helping me to make those connections. That's why I don't have a problem with them. And they're not invasive. Like a lot of people think they're going to be like, they're going to cut you open and stick some wiring in you. No, it's not like that at all. It's like, we see those movies where someone takes the pill and they have like these super abilities with, they can write a book, in a day and all kind of crazy stuff. It's really actually like that. And it's, and it doesn't fade. It's always there. Sounds pretty cool, right? So these technologies are what's going to happen for us.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if they malfunction, I almost had brain damage because they did malfunction, leak the nanofiber gold. And I had to work with ETs to do psychic surgery to remove these implants, because I didn't want to go back in the cybernetics labs to have the energy cores recalibrated. I knew it could be done remotely, but they wanted me back in the programs and I didn't want to go back to Mars. So I decided to remove the implants with the 𝗨𝙁 𝙤𝙤, and they're gray ETs that have some Pleiadian hybridization. So they're really good at psychic surgery, and they help me map out the brain components and how these implants could be removed through psychic surgery, which I did because I was going to have a lot of brain damage if I didn't. I don't have the codes to recalibrate the neuronal interfaces. So I decided to just get them removed.
Interesting. So people are asking what side Elon's on. I see him as on the good guy side. That's just my feel. I think he was maybe involved in some sketchy stuff, but now he's working for the good guys. What do you feel about that? Do you know anything about that? What's your feel on Elon?
My feel is that he really wants to get to Mars. He wants to terraform. He's part of the program for terraformation process and to get people on Mars and to introduce Neuralink to the world and to, I guess, help with redesigning the whole paradigm shift. Sometimes we're all tempted by this and that. So we can be in sketchy things and we have, just an epiphany and awakening. So hopefully Elon is on his epiphany and his awakening and on the right course to help humanity. That's my hope.
That's my feel. I think he's going to be a great attribute, for humanity going forward. So anyone that has, fears of that, of course, you're going to have your own judgment and figure that out on yourself. But that's what I feel. So I had a interesting little thing today when I was at the gym. There was a vehicle that pulled up alongside mine when I left. It was the Umbrella Corporation. And the Umbrella Corporation, as we know, is one of those corporations. I'm not going to go into that here, but they do exist. You talk about how we kind of don't go too much into detail about that. James has done an excellent job of that. I had a guest on another show where they talked about how during the JFK assassination that the umbrellas were used to signal the shooters. So the Umbrella Corporation, they're out there. Are they like onto me? Maybe. Do I work for them? I don't know. Maybe I'll figure that out later. I have some ideas, what I'm doing out there, and it seems to be mostly good. So you have memories of bases here on the US and bases on the moon, bases on Mars, external, like, satellite bases, all kinds of amazing things. Where would you like to go? Would start and move on to the bases? I think that's going to be a fascinating subject for everybody.
So I remember when I was about 15, being taken into Monarch Solutions near California and Sierra Madre Mountains. So that's between Nevada, California, and other places here. And I'm in Canada, so it's not too far away. It's logical, actually. I remember being taken into the woods. I remember there was some kind of a cabin, a log medium-sized cabin, and in the back of the cabin, there was a hot tub. So I remember my head being dunked underwater and just them trying to see how long I could stay underwater and keep conscious. And they would repeat this over and over again to train me to stay longer underwater, to not lose consciousness. So that was the first kind of breakdown, I guess, of to see how long they can break you, how long they can remake you, how long they can manipulate your consciousness. The other thing they had me do is psychically open up portals to go from point A to point B, to go from Sierra Madre Mountains to somewhere else in Nevada and other places. And they have underground bases in those locations where there's many CERN devices that are working on figuring out portal technology and how to open stable isotopes and wormholes and particle beams. So CERN, the many CERN programs are in the United States as well, not just in Europe, because they have the huge Hadron Collider in Europe. They have many CERNs here. So I got to see some of those facilities, and I actually got to see how the CERN particle generator opened up a hole in space-time, like a wormhole, and I got to see somewhere else, another part on Earth, a portal. I wouldn't go through that. I didn't trust that portal because I didn't see it as stable at the time. Didn't feel it was stable enough to go through. But when I created the portals telepathically and opened them, I could keep the energy stable and I could go from point A to point B through the portal. And I was being monitored and the telemetry was being recorded, how I can psychically do this. And it was given to the CERN teams so they could recalibrate their portal generators and make that portal technology stable that they can open with the many CERNs in these bases. So I got to see two bases when I was taken into the Monarch Solutions program. And it, again, is part of the umbrella corporations. It's under them.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, so the things that I've seen and things that I've experienced, you talk about, being dunked, how long you can withstand it. When I was in the Navy SEAL teams, we went through like prisoner evasion training, and they put me on what's called the waterboard. And I did what very, very few people do. I broke the waterboard, and they would take a piece of cheesecloth and put it over your nose and mouth, and they would pour water for a period of time. And then they go and get some more water. During that time, I'd like exhale out while when they're getting more water, and suck in. And for me, it was like a leaky regulator. So I just kept that process up, just held my breath. And eventually they said, you better start screaming or we're going to make this really bad for you. So they want to make a show and wanted to, put fear in people. A lot of people just like freaked out on the waterboard, thought they were going to drown. But the way the waterboard is situated, you're at an angle pointing down, so the water doesn't go into your lungs, So, I've been exposed to a lot of these different things over the years, and being able to overcome them, being able to do incredible things. I think some of that, information kind of leaks through from those programs. And what have you noticed about, information leakage as far as like your abilities on this side?
Well, the abilities that I went into the SSP is the abilities I got to keep, and just enhanced because of the Neuralink implants. So I had the ability to track planetary coordinates with the Neuralink implants and just take my consciousness to any planet that I want and scout it before I go physically to the planet, before I would teleport, whether by a ship, a jump room, or even bilocate myself. The Neuralink implants helped with the brain circuitry reconfiguring it to be able to bilocate just using your own ability to teleport. That's unfortunately very limited now that I don't have the Neuralink implants, but I could still take my consciousness to other planets and have a look, what we call remote viewing or remote sensing. I don't have to do any protocols. I don't have to work extra hard to do it. I just do it.
Yeah.
There's no prep work involved. So that's what the Neuralink implants helped me to do. And this is what I've retained, the ability to just take my mind somewhere else out there in the universe and see other planets, see locations, see anything that's classified, that's even hidden from me by other, because all the programs, the military ones, they have their own psychic trackers who can track remote viewers to see what we're looking at. But I can repel the attacks and I can make myself invisible. So they don't see me, what I'm looking at that's classified. I can tap into whatever I want. Tapped into Area 51, 𝙬𝙤 base. I've tapped to the Mars bases, what's on the moon, what's in Antarctica. I can see whatever I want. There's no limitation. Nobody can stop me.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing, having been in part of the looking glass technology and not being part of it, but still being able to have the abilities to do that. So I feel that has come through. So what do you see in Antarctica? A lot of people have talked about that being, a former ancient alien base, and we took it over and so forth. What do you see when you look there in Antarctica?
Well, I'd served in Antarctica after doing the Mars stuff in the cybernetics labs. The last mission they sent me on, the work was in Antarctica to basically catalog the Atlantean outposts that are there, that are still left behind. They weren't damaged by the shift in the ice age. So they're still active because they're built very sturdily. Some of them are underground, some of them are on the surface of Antarctica. So the ones that aren't covered by layers of ice, I was sent to catalog the ancient technologies that are there. The ancient race, the elder race, the creator race, however you want to call them, they were the Atlanteans. They were the first creator races, if you will, on Earth millions of years ago. And they left all of this technology in Antarctica because Antarctica was Atlantis, one of the biggest many outposts that's in Antarctica. And they have the technology. They left the crystalline chambers. They left what James calls the hyper chairs or the trip chairs. So basically you sit in it and it connects your mind telepathically to the chair, and you can see future timelines. You can time travel through it. You can also open portals through it and go somewhere else off planet even. So if you look at Stargate SG-1, that's Disclosure, that show. They actually went to Antarctica. They went to another galaxy where the creator progenitor races left this technology. So it's actually reality because we have this in Antarctica, and I was sent to catalog those technologies and to report back on what I found in the outposts. But during service, I stumbled onto basically ports where submarines would dock. So near, like I even mapped this. I took a blank map of Antarctica and I mapped where these ports were. In Spartan 1 and Spartan 2 in Linda Moulton Howe's Disclosure, right. They disclosed exactly those same submarine docking bases, ports. So that's what I was able to map. I was able to map all the SSB outposts that are there, bases, the Atlantean outposts. So I basically mapped what the secret stuff is in Antarctica, and also some of the UFOs that had crashed there, or were the remains of these civilizations. So that's what's in Antarctica, and that was my last mission. Basically, I was not interested in the SSP bases there. I was just purely interested in the Atlantean outposts I'd seen about 5 of them and been inside 5 of them. And I'd seen the carvings on the walls. The walls were green. And I'd seen what looks like a planetary disk with all the planets, with all the information where the secret knowledge vaults are, where the genetic vaults are, all these, ancient repositories of information.
Right.
So I'd seen that as well. It's part of the ancient tech. And the last thing they had me do was investigate a bioengineering lab where one of the ET human hybrids had broke out of the lab and breached security. It wasn't able to escape the lab, but I got to see the holding stasis chambers, what we call regeneration tanks, the equivalent of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in tubes, and they were like different hybrids between what looks like reptilians and humans, what looks like snake people with claws and all that stuff. They're super soldiers, advanced super soldiers, sort of like chimeras, if you will, with animal genetics bred with human genetics, ET genetics bred with human genetics. So there were so many different variations of them just being held in stasis chambers. And me looking at the one that the creature broke out of, because he had a lot of power. He had reptilian genetics, a mix, and he broke out because he was being programmed for a death kill mission, to be sent on a death kill mission. And he was taking none of it. So he broke out and he almost escaped. So they sent me to look at the protocols, the safety procedure protocols, so nothing like this could happen again.
Fabulous. Wow. That resonates with some of the memories that I have of that base. Some of the bases that are, underneath the, America and South America, and, they're all over the world. So a lot of the stuff is underground. And so same thing with Mars and the moon. My memories, have come through, scattered here and there, but yours sound like they're very, very prominent. Let's start with the moon and then move over to Mars. What do you see there?
Yeah, so on the moon, the biggest base that I was on was lunar space operations. And it's a huge base, and it has about 4 domes attached to it. And it has 42 levels up that's on the surface. And then the labs, all the experimental labs are underneath the weapons, the bioengineering that goes down. There's living quarters, there's biodomes with lakes, with forests. So it simulates like environment on Earth, the breathing, same atmosphere, gravity. So basically, I was just working there. This is where I was first put into my SSP training on the moon, to basically, what is the SSP? What are the different programs? What will be expected of me? What jobs will I do? Basic training 101. You get acclimated. So that's on the moon, and it's these 4 huge domes are connected by tunnel systems together, or tunnel walkways, whatever you want to call them. It's a grayish white kind of structure, all 4 structures, and they're super large. And it seems like it's made out of glass, like some of the glass structures, but it's not glass. It's some kind of a durable material that doesn't break down. It can be there for hundreds of years, from what I was told about these buildings. And they house thousands of SSP assets, personnel that rotate off and on from the moon, and they have shuttles going up and down as well, from Earth to the moon to Mars and other planets in our solar system and even beyond. And it's more advanced on Elon Musk's spaceship. It's quite more like advanced than that. And it could take up to 200-300 people in one go when they shuttle us up and down. And again, the ISS, all the cameras are turned off from the ISS, so you can't see these shuttles going in and out, or spaceships. That's what's being closed off from us here. We can't see what they have up there. It's on the moon. And they also have space station platforms orbiting the moon and Mars. Planetary Corp has that. And Lunar Space Operations has several other bases on the moon, but underground. And they utilize the dome-shaped technology because it's quite easy to build that out. You build a dome and you can build anything within the dome. It could be the dome structure itself. That's the main base, but the other ones have cities, houses, has all of that infrastructure. That's been there since the 1950s on the moon. Mm-hmm. Started with an underground base, and it's US Navy military who built that out. So that's the US side of this lunar space operations on the moon.
Fabulous. So it kind of fits a little bit of the stuff that, you know, when we had our show together, that I was like having memories of, so that you took it to the next level because your memories are more advanced. So that's fantastic that we're having, you know, similar insights. So that's what I love about, you know, having these conversations, because, you know, I'm like, am I really seeing this? And then someone else will have, oh yeah, you're seeing this, and this is what this is. Or like, it's almost like, you know, when you have a past memory, let's say you're a kid, teenager, whatever, and it's kind of vague to you in your current lot, you're currently in your life, and you ask a friend or your mother, parents, whatever, and they're like, oh, no, this is the way it is. It's like you this is the way that happened. And then it's like, then a memory start to come through a little clearer for you. So that's what happens, I think, to a lot of us that are, you know, starting to have these memories and have them come through. I have great memories. I don't have any real traumatic experiences other than, like we've talked about, actually dying in combat. Obviously that's going to be traumatic, but you learn how to work through that because they bring you back, and you know, they reconfigure you, and everything just works like it did before, and you just go out and keep going. Yeah. So it's fast. As long as you got some little pieces left, they can put you back together. That's what's amazing. In those tanks you were talking about in Antarctica, you know, they have, you know, different sizes of them, and you know, they work on alien hybrid races, and those of us that are in a secret space program that have been kind of hybridized, you know, in our own right, you know, like we talked about, I have memories of having one of my clone bodies that has gills on it and stuff. So there's amazing things that are happening out there. So moving over to Mars. Now I have fairly good memories, I feel, you know, as far as like, you know, as my memories are coming through, of having worked on Mars quite a bit. And as far as training, now I do have memories of being trained on the moon when I was younger, like, you know, from 3 to maybe 8 or so. And then from that, it seems like I moved on to Mars, and then some of the floating bases that are around it, and then onto other planets. So what are your memories of Mars right now?
So what I did primarily on Mars, Planetary Corp has 11 bases and weaponry stations as well, where they do weapons testing, but those are separate facilities. And there's also Mars colonies, Mars 1 and 2 colonies that they have, where it's big cities. But the bases themselves are covered by domes that have electromagnetic fields around them, so they cloak the bases. So satellites can't spot it. Nothing can really spot it that is in space, that orbits Mars, because Mars is usually checked by satellites, Earth, the moon, but the Mars bases cannot be seen because they're protected by the dome systems. And within the domes, there's the base structures themselves, and they go underground again. So usually the labs, the cybernetics labs, where they create the smart suits, where they create the biological cyborgs, which are augmented with the Neuralink implants. So if you have an implant, you're part cyborg. You're a human, walking, breathing cyborg now, because you're augmented with nanotechnology. So they had me working in those labs deeper in the underground portions of the bases, making biological drug serums, making biological human cyborgs, augmenting them with the Neuralink implants. They had me working on creating these implants. testing it out on myself, testing it out on other SSB assets when it was safe. I know that they have the regeneration tanks in those labs because when soldiers would come in, some of them had blown off limbs, they had traumatic memories, PTSD, and that had to be all reconfigured in the tank. They put them in the tank and the tank takes away the trauma aspect of it. You still remember the memory, but it's not traumatic anymore. That's removed from the mind. Your limbs are regenerated in the different kinds of gels, goos. It's all different colors. And it depends what the color is. I remember green and blue was for healing, regeneration. Other goos were for other things. And most of us had the implants, so we can talk telepathically. We had synthetic telepathy. And we had the holographic medical pods. And I was calibrating the holographic technology for it to make sure it worked properly with the med beds, putting in soldiers into them to be healed, to be revived, also taking genetic blueprints when you first come in on Mars as an SSB asset. When you're transferred in, the cybernetics techs, they take your most healthiest DNA pattern and put it on file. So they could always grab a copy of it and regenerate you. If your genetics is so flawed, something happened, you got mutated, you got a virus, then there's always a fresh batch of your genetics on file in the databases.
Right. And just to interject in that a little bit. So my memories are, if that happens, this is beautiful bringing all this up because it, fits in perfectly with a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about and have memories of. That when you're in the gel and goo and you're starting to regenerate, somehow your soul comes back in and it goes back in. So that's fascinating that as long as they have, like I talked about, as long as they got a little piece of you, a little bit of DNA packet, like you're saying, they basically can put you back together and make a vessel for your soul to come back into. That's fascinating because most people think that once you die, you're gone. But as we saw with Christ came back into his body and regenerated it. And that's pretty much what this technology is doing, allowing for the soul to come back and regenerate and connect back with the body again.
Yeah, I mean, the regeneration tanks work on the goos. That's how it's powered inside. The goo literally activates the function of the tank. And the holographic medical pods are powered by plasma, by crystalline plasma fields. So there is a bit of a difference between the two. Regen tanks are goo-based, sometimes other materials and other liquids and stuff. And the holographic medical pods, the ones that I know of, the advanced ones, it opens up because it has like a dome, it's not glass, it's something else material. It opens up, it can be silver, the pod could be any color, really, it doesn't matter. It opens up, you float the person in, because when soldiers are out in the field, if they're injured and their smart suit is keeping them alive, but it can't come back home, they send out the Meditech unit, which is a stasis pod, basically, that revives you and keeps you alive temporarily. While it's anti-grav propulsion, it just floats back into the base, into the lab.
Like the ambulance, crew goes out and picks you up and brings you back. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
You have amazing insights into the technology. For me, I'm like, like a car. I turn the key, I push the gas, and it goes. I don't know anything else. But that's kind of the way I am with a lot of this technology. Although, as you talk, I connect. Oh yeah, the pistons work, and I start to see the bigger picture of it. But that's fascinating how you have the technological keys, because a lot of people are like, that's a bunch of bullshit. But when you come up with the technology of it, and people start to go, wow, that's how that works. That makes sense, because we've been dumbed down here on Earth a lot about these technologies. So as now that we're talking about them, it opens that doorway so people can understand that once these because creating that, doorway so people can see inside this world, so that once the technologies like we're talking about come through, people aren't like, I'm not going to touch this. It's like the devil. It's like, no, it's not the devil. It's like, don't be silly. So that's what you're doing when you're sharing this information. I thank you so much. It's great.
Well, the source was, I was working in the cybernetics labs, helping to create the tech, and a cybernetics technician helps create the tech and monitor the tech. I don't have the schematics. I didn't help design the holographic medical pods or the regen tanks. I helped design the Neuralink implants and some of the space navigation systems on the crystalline spaceships, because I got to see that being built in Planetary Corp bases, base 5 and 8. But the holographic medical pods, once the Meditech unit brings you in, it opens up, your smart suit floats you into the holographic medical pod, the shield closes over the pod itself, the plasma fields start up, and it starts healing you, it starts to regenerate the missing limbs. If you're having some mutation in your genetic blueprint, it takes that fresh DNA, overlaps it over your human genetic template, and fixes anything that's not working correctly. It's mutated, it's damaged. It recalibrates everything and puts you back together. And then depending on what the injury was, it could be a number of hours, minutes, sometimes days to finish regenerating the parts. And, within a few weeks, you're back to normal. And if you're cleared for service, you go back out into soldiering or whatever you're doing on the basis.
That's just absolutely amazing. You're basically describing the technology of the med beds to everyone right now. So a lot of people like myself, med bed, what does it do? How does it work? And so now everyone's hearing that right now. So it's unbelievable. So that was going to be one of my questions, how long this takes, because I have memories that it's not like you get in it an hour later, everything's good. Sometimes it takes time, it takes days, sometimes weeks to regenerate some of these. I think the brain, when my brain was like half my head was blown off, my memories, it was several weeks for that to be regenerated. And while I'm in the tank, they're actually communicating with me and helping me work through the trauma, telepathically, communication, stuff like that. So really high tech stuff. And very, very fascinating. So what else do you see as far as so now let's move out from Mars. I have memories of Jupiter and Saturn. What do you see? And I see big space stations, massive space stations around Jupiter. Of course, it's a massive planet, so it can it can hold those massive craft. What is it that you see? Let's jump to Jupiter, and then we'll go to Saturn in our last little bit here.
So Jupiter has a huge trading, negotiating space station and a portal gateway that goes anywhere you want. That's orbiting Jupiter, and every 400 years it's rebuilt because it has a standard shelf life of 400 years, and tall whites have helped to rebuild it, and other ETs have contributed to its maintenance and upkeep. It's basically, for our galaxy, it's the biggest trading station, negotiations, contracts. SSP assets are sent there for protection duty quite a bit. And if you want to portal in and portal out somewhere deep in space, that's where you go with your shuttles, your crews. And Jupiter itself has a few bases, from what I understand, and a lot of the semi-precious ores and stuff are mined on the moons, and they have outposts for different bases. There's experiments with water on some of those moons that they're doing. It's quite interesting. Can't really talk about the water stuff because that's from a client's memories, but there's a lot of bases. There's a lot of activity around Jupiter, on Jupiter. Saturn has space stations around it. It has some of the ancient builder race stuff, just like Venus does. So if somebody's portal to Saturn, you're going to get a lot of learning. There's a lot of ancient tech. There's a lot of monoliths. There's a lot of commemoration technologies because wars have been fought on Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, between the Lyran wars, the reptilians, Lyrans, Nordics, Pleiadians, the wars. This is how half of our solar system was decimated and why the planets were made barren the way they are now because of those wars. Saturn has rings around it, so it has a protection around it, so you can't just enter Saturn. You have to get through the electric fields of the rings and the spaceships that are creating these electromagnetic fields within the rings of Saturn. So what I understand, the Council of Nine comes from Saturn, because this council literally decides where you go. Can you come on the planet or not? Can you leave the solar system? Yes, no. And it's ETs and humans that make up this council. So that's what I know about Saturn, because I've never been on Jupiter or Saturn. I remember the space station around Jupiter, but what I do remember is visiting Saturn with one of the ancient builder race guardians and seeing their technology. And it's very similar to what's in Antarctica, the Atlantis stuff, because the progenitors were part Atlantean as well. So I've seen some of that, but that was twice. I've never been on SSB missions to Saturn other than what the Guardian showed me.
Interesting. So we've seen, looks like remnants of, the Sphinx and pyramids on Mars. Is that part of the builder race? Some people have said it is. What are your thoughts? Because you've done research on a lot of this stuff. What are your views on that?
It's part of the Atlantean race.
Yes.
The first Atlanteans. So it's not really ancient builder race stuff. So because the civilizations on Mars were here quite a long time ago. So that's their technology. The pyramids on Mars and some of the stuff on the moon, that's Martian technology. That's their civilization that originally lived on Mars and still lives there underground now. So they were like, let's say the Egyptians were Atlanteans, a version of Atlanteans, a more younger civilization. And then we came along. So that's what Egyptian pyramids are. They're Atlantean pyramids that have different halls of records. There's a huge Atlantean hall of records way deep under the Sphinx. And I have a lifetime as an Egyptian priest / architect named Calypso, and he designed that hall of records under the Sphinx. He used those, magnetic wand technology to literally levitate the stones that built the pyramids. Yeah. I have a memory of him doing that. And it wasn't using slaves or slave labor to drag the blocks, somehow carve them. It's all through advanced technology, levitation technology, like a mini tractor beam. You click the wand and activates the tractor and it force field and it literally just stacks the stones how you want it. Instant architecture. That's what I remember him doing. Yeah. And I talked to him. I can literally connect to him because he's alive on a level. I can connect to him and talk to him. I could discuss these memories with him. And I remember him building the Hall of Records, putting the ruby refractor telescopes that are capable of decloaking the Mars bases and other planetary bodies that are cloaked and protected. It can temporarily decloak it so you see it actually, all these installations. So he put that technology in the Atlantean Hall of Records, and he had created mazes around the main chamber. And it's using hieroglyphics. So it's like a map road work for you to figure out, because the mazes are supposed to kind of like distract you from finding the main chamber deep underground, under the Sphinx. And there's tunnel systems that connect to inner Earth as well and other places on Earth. So basically, he created this hall of records and surrounded it with so many antechambers and mazes to distract you to not find it so easily and get at the tech that's there. So you have to connect certain hieroglyphics on the floors because they're on the ceilings, they're on the walls, they're on the floors. And if you can decipher the hieroglyphics in the map, then you'll find the hall of records. If you can't, you won't find it.
Yeah. I have memories of being a priest, and everything was lit up. They had technologies. It wasn't like lighting like we have today, like glowing orbs and stuff like that were situated. So it was very well lit. You had, from my memories, you had to have a sound. You had to speak a sound or sing a sound to open some of these doors. And if you couldn't, they're absolutely not going to get through. So that's very interesting. Do you have any memories of that? The sound technologies that we use to open doors and stuff like that?
Well, I have the sound frequency of the Ark of the Covenant. So I lived in Israel when I was a kid. When I went to the King Solomon Temple Mound, what's left of the temple, I could feel the Ark vibrating underneath, deep underground, because the Ark of the Covenant, the Israel Ark of the Covenant, it's still there deep underground. So its sound frequencies can be calibrated to destroy buildings, to destroy planets, or it can be calibrated for communication between different worlds and different beings. So that Ark is a device of its own. It's not like little devices placed within the Ark. The Ark is the device that can do this with sound frequencies. That's what I remember about this Ark, because again, it's one of those Atlantean ancient technologies that went around the Earth, and there's several of these Arks, and some of them are built differently for different purposes. I do remember the Atlantean crystalline technologies. Some of it is activated by sound or singing or toning. And those orbs, they're crystalline technology. That's what the light source is. It's crystalline. And it's eternal, almost never runs out. So that's what I remember about toning, about sound and frequencies. It mostly concerns the Ark of the Covenant.
Fascinating. Yeah, there's been many people think that there's just that one that Moses used to cross over the Dead Sea and stuff like that, probably using those same sound technologies that he had learned as a priest as well. Yeah, fascinating. So how can people, this has been an absolutely fantastic show. I could go on for hours and hours. How can people connect? Now, you've talked about how you have clients that you do regressions as well.
Yeah, I'm a certified shaman, and I do hypnosis regression. So I've combined a shamanic aspect of journeying with a hypnosis style, and it's unique and different, but it really works. And I've done many different regressions. I specifically do hypnosis regression for SSP assets or ET contactees who've had experiences to decipher the meaning of those experiences. I work off of questions. They create a certain set of questions about their experiences, and sometimes they have no idea what the experience even is. So we create specific little details to look into in the hypnosis, because if they have a little bit of something, that something is likely something big, that's bigger, and that's discovered in the discovery of the hypnosis itself. So I sort of do incorporate the traditional aspect of hypnosis with the shamanic aspect. I also do past life regressions, which are totally shamanic. I do energy healing, I do psychic readings, I do galactic soul readings, I do different types of readings and energy healing, also Reiki. And the way that people can find me is through my website on the internet, Messages from a Star Traveler, not my Facebook page, Messages from a Star Traveler, but through the website. That's how, if they're interested in a session, that's how they can find me. They just type in Messages through a Star Traveler in the browser, click on the website, and I have drop-down menus of all the different sessions and what they do. So I also have the Facebook group Messages from a Star Traveler, where I usually post all my interviews, the articles that I write. So I use it as a blog more often to write disclosure and put videos up there. If anybody wants to reach me, it's my email is seekingthetruthinreality@gmail.com.
Very good. Very good. And yeah, I love your work. You're definitely helping a lot of people, wake up a lot of people, or I see in the chat, or wondering if they have, secret space program type stuff. One guy was like, I really feel strongly I was in a secret space program, but if I was a janitor. So, there's I love that sense of humor. When you look at this stuff, people want to dismiss it right away, unfortunately. But like you said, we're kind of like the vanguard to help people awaken to this information, and it's going to come through. And if you're a denier, and if you're extreme in your thoughts that this can't exist, you're left behind very soon. So I want to thank you very much for joining me again, and I look forward to connecting with you again in the future. And I totally, anyone that's listening to this, please contact you if they have any thoughts that maybe they were, part of the secret space program, and would like to connect with that and see if that's actual reality. Because there's millions of us that have been in the secret space program.
Yeah, I mean, the way it works is that usually if people have had experiences, they have basic little glimpses of, I did this, I did that. It can be very vague, but it's there. So we can create questions off of that and add in the missing pieces, because that's how hypnosis works. And some people have no clue. They just have a feeling. I was in the SSP. Then we can create questions off of that. Which SSP group were you in? What did you do in the SSP? Where did you go? And so on and so on. So questions can be created out of anything, even if it's just a gut feeling. I was in the SSP. There's many branches of the SSP. We can help you figure out where you were in the SSP, because it's not just one group, it's many groups.
Oh, yeah.
So, and you're in your own process of hypnosis as well, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I go to Gaia next weekend, and they're going to regress me for 2-3 hour periods and pick up some more information of that. So, yeah, thank you very much. I mean, you're part of my awakening process. And not only for me, but for everyone that's watching. Some people are more advanced, maybe even more advanced than we are, and like, yeah, they're getting it. And then some are like, you guys are way out there, and there's a lot of people in between. So it's fun. I love this process.
Well, I can't hide from my ET heritage, because I have some Pleiadian, I have some 𝙁 genetics. So I can't hide from what I am. Yeah. I came here being an ET human hybrid. Some people call that star seeds. Some people call it wanderers, walk-ins. I just came being an ET human hybrid. Nobody had to augment anything genetically in me. I already came with that. The SSP just helped me along with amplifying and augmenting my psychic abilities, or psionics, with those Neuralink implants. It's just, I came in with what I already was born with. So
yeah, and I feel that we're all high, or genetically or whatever. We came in here from star seeds. We're all star seeds, and once you realize that, you're like, well, what kind of star seed am I? I'm Syrian, and then some people are like, like yourself, Pleiadian, and maybe a mix of some other stuff. Just like I'm a mix of, I got some Italian and Swedish and Scottish and all kind of crazy stuff. So I'm quite the mutt, but there might be a lot of us that have lots of different hybrid ET races within us.
Yeah, and there's always the subject, like people want to know, when are the ETs going to land on the White House lawn, or when are ETs going to disclose, come out with the different species out to the people, tell them, we're here, we're from here, here, and here, we're of this ET lineage, we are ETs walking among people on Earth.
Right.
So we are the ETs, basically.
Absolutely.
Those of us who are awake and fully understanding of that ET or ET's lineage, we are ETs. We're already awake. We're walking around. We're genetically programmed right now because on Earth, they don't have those genetic devices like they do on the Mars basis and the planetary corp. Because before you're even allowed to enter into the lab, every day at the station, they have a device that reads your palm print and it reads your whole genetic structure to make sure it's still you, that you haven't been genetically augmented with other ET material, DNA, that you are not a plant, that you're not a shapeshifter, that's an ET, you're not the enemy. So your genetic blueprint still must be you to enter the lab, because they could just, it's a portable station and it checks your genetics. They have portable scanners that the cybernetics techs carry that could check your DNA on the spot.
Excellent.
So if you've been tampered with, you're not going to be allowed to come into the labs to work on that day until they fix it.
And on that same technology, I hear through the grapevine that there's going to be a non-invasive type of DNA testing, like fingerprint scan, where they'll test and see if you have COVID. So instead of doing a swab, which we know is not a good thing to do, soon there's going to be like a DNA finger type scan. So look forward to that. You're just talking about that right there.
Yeah, these portable devices scan your whole genome. So it'll find anything, minor mutations, big, small changes. If you're not you and you're an ET shape-shifting, or you've been augmented with any other nanotech, this scanner device will find everything.
Wow.
And you'll be, you can't go in, you have something you shouldn't on you, or this is not even you.
Yeah.
So if it's a cyborg, if it's a clone, or if it's a shifter or some kind of a hybrid ET, and it's not you or you've been tampered with, they won't let you in until you're basically cleaned up of whatever the tampering was with you. And if it's not you, then they'll can't go in and they'll deal with you somehow.
Interesting. And when I look at you, you just seem so sweet, but I know you're a badass. So if anyone's looking at you going, oh, she's just so sweet, how could she be part of the secret space program? Everyone is trained in the secret space program to fight, just like they are in the military here. The cooks learn how to fight, they can pick up the rifle and go out and fight too. So you've, even though you've been involved in, behind the scenes, you're not part of the frontline, core. You're a badass in your own way. And even now you're a badass. So it's fun.
Well, I can tell you what the training that I had was on the Mars basis. You have to go through battle ready Viking class training. That means laser phaser firearms, rifles, handheld, what you call a gun, but it shoots plasma or laser, rifles, swords, plasma swords, plasma daggers, and all of that stuff is attachable magnetically to your smart suit, and you always carry it with you. Even if you're not frontline soldiers or warriors, you still carry this stuff on you, the basic protection, like a plasma rifle here strapped to your hips magnetically, it connects to the smart suit, or the plasma sword that easily pulls out.
Right.
The daggers.
So a lot of you guys will recognize the plasma sword from Star Wars. That's that's basically the lightsaber. Yeah. It's plasma. It's a plasma sword.
Yeah. When I was starting to remember all this training, it converted to me as I want the FNFS, the bullpups. Those bullpups. That a lot of the soldiers had in Stargate SG-1, and it looks very futuristic as a weapon.
It's a badass weapon, yeah, definitely. That's cool.
That's the first thing that I wanted. So I dragged my poor dad, who was in the Russian military and knows all the weapons and how to shoot. I dragged him out to get our restricted and non-restricted PAL licenses, because in Canada, you have to have a license to own firearms of any type. So we went in together. I passed with a 95. on the test, the written test, and the physical of how to assemble and disassemble weapons. I wasn't even listening to the trainer, who was a former police officer. I wasn't listening to any of it. I was just like, well, I already know the answers. Wrote it down, passed the test, and my dad's like, you didn't even read the manual. You didn't listen to any of the talks or the videos that we were being shown in the training, because we had 2 weeks of training of how to use firearms, what they are, the history, safeties, load, unload, storage, you know, all of that stuff, different types of bullets, different types of scopes, ammo, different types of weapons, firearms, because you have your rifles, you have your semi-automatics, you have your shotguns, you have your guns. So there's so many different types of firearms. We were giving the basics on all of it and how to use it. So, you know, I passed 95, he passed with an 85. It was done, and then I'm like, Dad, I want the FN and FS. I want my bullpups. The brother and the sister, as I call them, because one is bigger, one is smaller. So we got them, we still have them. Don't know how long we'll have them because of Canada is trying to ban firearms here. So hopefully,
I think you're going to be good there. I think things are going to shift pretty soon, so we'll see.
Yeah, I hope so. So far, I'm working on the timelines to shift things around, because sometimes I can even shift timelines because of my ability to see the future. So I have quite the weapons collection, semi-automatics, rifles, handguns, you name it, I own it. I got swords, I got daggers, because I remember being trained with plasma swords. So that's the first stuff that came, the weapons and the interest. And then I got the motorcycle, because on Mars you have hover cars and hovercraft, and they go quickly. They hover and the speeds are quick. So the motorcycle was like an equivalent of that. Hop on, go fast. I got the whole suit, the whole thing, the whole shebang. And my parents were like, this is weird. She's never been interested in any of this. And when the memories come, I start like reenacting them. Physically getting the things that the equivalents of what I had on Mars here, going to like the shooting range.
Vehicles that the Starship Troopers used to ride.
Cool. And I went to the shooting range. I got my scopes on my firearms. I got to shoot. I got to play on the firing range. The only thing I didn't do, I didn't go to the speed race track and didn't drive the fast cars there. That's the only thing. My family was like, no, you're not doing that. That's too dangerous for you. But I wanted to. I wanted to go to the speed track, and I wanted to drive all the fast cars. But my parents are like, no, that you're not doing. And you're not getting any tattoos either. So, because I wanted tattoos of dragons. Because I work with the elements and the elemental dragons, the metal dragon and the fire dragon. So I wanted a tattoo, and all my friends are like, no, you're not doing that. So
we've talked before, but I have memories of riding dragons in the secret space program. So very, very, it's just like we saw in Avatar, where they rode the dragons. There's all kinds of different beasts and animals and stuff that we work with. Crazy, crazy stuff. So Ileana, absolutely amazing. I want to thank you so much for joining us, and I'd love to see you guys, join us again in the future. And you can always tap into her on her website. I'll put in the description box all of her information. So if you want to contact her and get a reading with her or whatever you want, she's available.
Yep. Right. Thank you so much, Michael.
All right. Thank you. And we'll
see you.
Bye-bye.